REDBULL Racing. These guys are bloody geniuses. Geniuses? Genii. This video is brought to you by the lovely people at Manscaped. They have been cheating for about 15 years now. Well, the fact that they've done it for so long and no one seemed to care is pretty admirable, because we all know they spent a little bit too much on catering last year. So yes, believe it or not, REDBULL Racing spent way too much money on food, fattening up Max Verstappen to win the 2021 Formula 1 World Championship. I mean, look at him. He has that extra energy to burn in the car. So maybe that's what you need to do to win a world championship. Now, to be honest, what they said here is pretty smart, how Red Bull somehow convinced the world that they think that they spent way too much money on food and that's why they're losing. Oh my. Now, yes, this is probably all a meme, but think about it. Most people who watch Formula 1 are not on the internet. They're not young, hip, cool guys like myself. They are 75-year-old straight white men sitting on their bums watching a Sunday afternoon race with their mates. So they're probably all confused and now have no idea what's going on. But if Red Bull actually do lose a championship for spending too much money on frickin' food, I don't think I can ever watch F1 again. I couldn't contain myself. It's almost as bad as having Mike Crack as a name. That's how funny it would be. Now, obviously, we only had the cost cap the past couple years. So Red Bull will have a very diversified Formula 1 portfolio, let's put it that way. They have loads of companies that work around Formula 1. Now, I'm not saying not all teams have this. Obviously, most teams have more than one company working on F1. So they might have McLaren Racing, and even McLaren or like McLaren Technology of the Future, whatever it's called. It reminds you of those stupid little sponsors they have, like A Better Tomorrow. What? A Better Tomorrow? What even is that? It's the stupidest, like, if someone looks at that and they go, A Better Tomorrow, that's just like a little phrase. Like, I could put that on saying, like, life is like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get. I might as well put that on an F1 car. These things have no meaning. Jesus Christ, these stupid... Why are there always things up here? Like, why are there always stupid helicopters and planes? Now, before I continue, let me talk to you a little bit about Manscaped. The people over there were kind enough to send me their performance package 4.0, which includes the world-renowned Lawnmower 4.0. Guys, this is that one device that you need to trim hair anywhere on your body, and I mean anywhere. And I know what you're thinking, but Connor, if I use it anywhere, I could get cut. When I've used razors before, it has not ended well. But don't worry, with the Lawnmower 4.0 ceramic blades and skin-safe technology, you won't need to worry about getting those nicks or cuts down there. But not only do you get the Lawnmower 4.0 in this package, you also get these two products which I never knew I needed until now. The Crop Preserver Liquid Deodorant and the Crop Reviver Toner Spray. And these are only a few of the amazing things you get in this performance package. So if any of that sounds good to you, head over to manscaped.com and get 20% off plus free shipping and those 2 free gifts when you use my promo code CWC. So by diversifying their Formula 1 portfolio, if you will, they can diversify their team and spread them around a bit to different segments or factions, whatever you want to call it, of the racing team, or not racing team for that matter. All right, so before we get into all of that, let's quickly go into what happens if you exceed the cost cap. So if it's less than 5%, anywhere from 0 to 10 million euros, if that is a minor amount of money, I'm becoming a Formula 1 driver or a Formula 1 race car for that matter. Because if I can be an F1 car and I get a minor amount of 10 million at least, I'm sorted for life. What am I doing with my life if 10 million is a minor amount of money?
Alright, so there's the basic ones of removing points from the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship, which I'm sure won't happen, because if it does happen in the Drivers, then Max Verstappen's screwed.
But can we just be real for a second? They're not gonna, remove Drivers' Championship points from Max Verstappen. Because imagine how bad that'd be for Lewis. Imagine finding out you're winning a championship and that after everything happened, you're no champion. And you're not quite sure if you are champion because of an FIA technicality. And imagine how bad that would make Max feel, because he's losing it and he's only got 1 championship now and Lewis has 8. I just feel bad for him for winning it on a technicality like that. Imagine finding out after the fact. It'd just be so heart-wrenchingly bad. I just couldn't imagine it. All right, then there's the classic ones like less testing time or less aerodynamic regulation testing things. All right, so here's where Red Bull is sneaky. Because they have a very diversified Formula 1 portfolio, this means that they can spread their staff out among the different factions, like I've already said. So by doing this, they have the top 3 salaries, which are excluded from the cost cap. All right, so let's play a little game for you guys at home. Let's guess the top 3 salaries in Red Bull, all right? So the top 3 salaries in Red Bull actually are this F1 mechanic from Instagram, this one logistics person, and then Jos Verstappen. Also, while I'm here, what do you think of my new Ferrari, my new whip, you know? Spent a lot of money on this puppy to get it serviced and ready to be roadworthy. Why are these three paid so much freaking money? It's because they're actually secret spies for Haas, so they can steal the data and all the telemetry and use it to win the 2077 Formula 1 World Championship. Watch this space, I'm telling you. In 2027, wait, but what did I say? Was it 20? That's my prediction. They're going to win the championship that year. So obviously, top three are Checo, Max, and Christian. So obviously, there are also some other high-profile people in the Red Bull family. For example, Dr. Helmut Marko. Who else is there? Adrian Newey. And of course, Nicholas Latifi. So let's touch on Adrian Newey and what's come to light about that guy. You know, he's a pretty decent car designer. Hasn't done an awful lot in his career. Pretty new to the sport. But he is actually excluded from the cost cap. But why? As I said, they are diversified. How many times have I said that word? Diversified. Am I using it correctly? I don't know. But basically, because he works for technically it's like Red Bull Technologies or Red Bull, the Honda part of Red Bull, he is a private contractor for Red Bull. So basically, Red Bull go, hey, we're looking for a car designer. Where can we find one? Oh, great, there's a company over there called Red Bull Technologies. Let's go and take their best car designer to design our car, and he can come work for Red Bull Racing. And then there you go. They now don't have to pay him in the cost cap because he doesn't technically work for them. And then Red Bull had a similar idea about 15 years ago going, how about we just accidentally buy another F1 team? And they call it Toro Rosso. I'm sorry, how unoriginal is that? Red Bull in Italian? Why don't they just call it Red Bull in Italian Racing? That's what they should call it. Red Bull in Italian Racing. You know what? I'll do that. I'll come to the F1 grid and be like, I'm Red Bull, but in Italian. So is it cheating to have AlphaTauri as a second F1 team? Well, yeah. Is it right that we should have a team that's never ever going to properly do well and they're always going to be like fifth in the standings? But also, by the way, when did AlphaTauri get to 9th in the standings? I'm sorry, what? They had like Pierre Gasly, who was meant to be this insane driver, like midfield merchant, who's meant to be up there getting podiums and top 4 finishes, and now they're 9th? Okay, maybe Red Bull can keep AlphaTauri because it isn't really helping them, is it? I don't understand how you can have two of the same team, one dominating a championship and the other being worse than Haas. And then it's also meant to be a junior team for young upcoming Red Bull junior drivers from F2 and whatnot. Let's just talk about the last few drivers we had there. We've had Daniel Kvyat, Pierre Gasly. They're both pretty old in 2020, all right? Then we have Yuki Tsunoda who's coming through. Yeah, okay, that's understandable. He's a Red Bull driver from F2. Then Pierre Gasly still kicks around for another 2 years. And then they hire Nick de Vries, who is a Mercedes driver. What reality are we living in? This would never happen normally. I don't know, do you think it's cheating? And on another note, while I'm sitting here in my Ferrari, would you like to subscribe? I'm only going to ask you once, and it'd be... And while I'm sitting here in my own beautiful Formula 1 car, I'd like to ask you to consider subscribing. It's free, it only takes a few seconds, and you can always unsubscribe later if you